What's up, guys? This is Taking the Field with Stevie Mac. I'm your host, Stephen MacDonald, and on this episode, we have a very special guest for you this afternoon. I'm joined today by the head coach of the women's lacrosse team at the University of Detroit Mercy, Dwayne Hicks. Dwayne, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's jump right into it. I got a couple questions that I want to ask you here over the next few minutes. The first being, take us through what this past year has been like for you and this team. I know with everything going on with COVID, probably has been very strange having to navigate through that. So just kind of give us a little summary of what this last year has been like for you in this program.
Well, I think it's been very enlightening. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, this is my first head coaching job, especially at a Division I level and with women. So a lot of firsts for me. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a great experience. The ladies are exceptional players, and we're having a lot of fun. It was very disappointing last year. We thought we were, I think like everybody else, we thought we would probably take a 2-week hiatus in March. And next thing you know, 2 weeks turned into 4 weeks. 4 weeks turned into the end of the semester. The end of the semester turned into a whole summer. And next thing you know, it's August, and we don't know if we're going to have a season or not. And, the way it played out, it was, okay, listen, we're not going to have a season. Okay, so now you've got, I remember saying to the AD, well, what do you want me to do? You've got 30 thoroughbreds over there in the barn. Are we going to allow them to play? What is the situation? And the answer was, we're going to practice. So, but practice, and I think this is true with a lot of people. What does that mean, practice? Well, practice means you're going to stand in a 6-foot square and you're going to do jump rope. You're going to lift weights. You're going to cradle. You're going to switch hands. But there's no contact. There's no, you're putting the sticks down every 15 minutes and disinfecting them and disinfecting the balls.
Wow.
And disinfecting the gloves and disinfecting the goal. And it's crazy. But you do that for 3 months. No contact, no
Wow.
playing, no scrimmaging, no contact with other teams, and then that kind of leads you into the next year. What are we going to do in the season? Nobody knows.
Right.
What's the schedule? Nobody knows. Well, are the Ivy League teams playing? Well, we don't know. Well, you're trying to schedule, can I play Michigan? Can I play Ohio State? Can I play Notre Dame? They're on the schedule. Yes. 2 weeks later? No.
Right.
Can I have a scrimmage before the season? Yes. 2 weeks later? No. Now you're going all conference only. So they can only play their conference. We can only play our conference. We have no scrimmages. We have no games. Can I scrimmage against the boys team? No. Because
Wow.
if any of you come up positive, then both programs go down.
Right.
So it was challenging. But at the same time, again, the theme for this year is adjust we must. So we're adjusting. We're trying to make sure we get in lacrosse games, but also have a good time, be competitive, and accomplish the goals that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like I said, just this whole past year has been so up and down and nobody knows really what's going on. And I think you touched on that a lot with how are we going to practice? Are we going to practice? How are we going to do this? So I think that in itself is very tough to manage through. And I think for those that don't know the situation of how last season went down specifically for you and this team, you came to this team almost midway through that season in late February, I believe it was. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, the whole season was canceled. So I think given that situation in normal circumstances would have been tough, but then to add the pandemic in not soon after that was, I think, even a lot tougher. So I think the way that you and this team handled it was very well done all around. So now that we've gone through basically everything that's happened for the past year now, let's talk a little bit about the game from Sunday against Central Michigan. They're the preseason #1 in that newly formed MAC conference. And the final score aside in this one, give me some of your positives that the team was able to take away from that game.
Well, I think first thing you have to remember is that was our first game in an entire year.
Yeah.
So imagine that you do not play any contact for an entire year, and someone says, "Okay, go out and play a Division I lacrosse game."
Right.
How hard is that? Especially with 10 of the girls on our team are freshmen,
Right.
so they haven't played for 2 years. So their senior year in high school wiped out because of COVID. Then they come here and they don't play, and now you're thrust in a game to play lacrosse at this level, having never played in 2 years. So I think it was the cards were kind of stacked against us. I think we came out. We started fast. We played well, but again, give Central their credit. They were prepared. This was their 5th game.
Yeah.
They got to play scrimmages. They got to play, very good teams to iron out what they needed to iron out. This was our first game. So, we've got we everything we're working on this week is stuff you saw in film. This is exactly what coaches prepare for. It's like why we have scrimmages, so we can get it on film. This is what we have to correct going into a game. So positives, #1, we were able to last an entire game.
Yeah.
Conditioning. Our conditioning is great. We're exactly where we want to be, and we're only going to get better. Some of our skill work was there, but it has to be fine-tuned. And that's what we're working on. I didn't expect us to come into, basically what that game was something that we would play like in October.
Right.
That was an October game for us. Now we've got to fast forward it from October all the way to March, and we got to get ready. But I think positives, we came out of the game with some really good looks. Our offense just has to, adjust in the right way. Our freshmen got that experience that they need. Like, wow, this is not high school. This is really fast.
Right.
Most of those calls would be game stoppages in high school. Here, it's just a play. So I think we got some great experience, and we got some good film, and we'll start to be and mold ourselves into the team we should be over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, one of the things that I noticed I watched a bit of that game on Sunday, but I also went back and looked at some of the stats from that game as well. One of the things that really stood out to me was the efficiency on the clear for this team. They were 85% for the game in that category, and that's something last year that seemed like they struggled a bit with at times, and they finished that shortened season around 65% in that category. So obviously a big improvement there on Sunday. So I think that's going to be something that I'll definitely watch for moving forward, but that's something that in that game stood out to me. So now we talked about that game on Sunday. You did go ahead and use both of your top 2 goalies in that game. Maddie Johnson got the start in that one, then Hannah Schrader came in the second half. Was this something that was, I guess, planned on happening going into that game, or did that sort of just play out as the game went on?
No, let's plan going in. Okay. So the thing I told my goalies, very similar to last year. It is an honor to start the game. but it is a privilege to finish the game.
Right.
So you're not going to come down a level. Each goalie knows that they're going to play a half.
Okay.
So just like last year, if you look at those games, Maddie played a half, Hannah came in and played a half. Maddie got hurt last year, so that's the reason she didn't play in the Marquette game.
Okay.
But other than that, they all played halves. So that's something that we planned going in, and they both knew it, which is why Maddie was warming up. No, not Maddie. Hannah was warming up immediately for the second half. So we don't have goalie controversy. We know exactly what we're doing, and both goalies get equal amount of time in practice. So we're exactly on track for goalies.
All right, perfect. And then we will touch specifically on this next game coming up on Saturday, March 13th in just a second, but you mentioned how you don't have that goalie controversy. You know what it is that you're doing and they understand it as well. Is that something that we will see then on not just Saturday in this second game, but throughout the season as well, then having them split that time like you mentioned?
Absolutely. That right now, that is the plan. We have two very good goalies. They both have their plus and minuses, but when you put them together, evened out, they are pretty much the same goalie, and we like having them in there. It would be very much like having two great quarterbacks, and one of them is standing on the sideline the whole time. Why is that? Well, give them their shot, give them their opportunity, get them in there, allow them to play their game. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finally, like I said, we'll touch a bit on this upcoming game. You've got Youngstown State, excuse me, this Saturday, March 13th. That's a noon game over on ESPN Plus. I'll have the call in that one from Titan Field. Just kind of give us some of your keys in that game real quick as we begin to wrap up this episode.
Well, I think Youngstown's going to be a very athletic team. So one of our big things is we really want to focus on winning the draw majority of the time, trying to get the ball possession. But I think we're going to work on playing more like the team that we should have been playing like against Central, moving the ball faster, getting our clearing rate even higher than it already was, and possessing the ball, using the shot clock to our advantage and to maybe wear them down a little bit, and just allow us to really use the offensive firepower that we have. If we can get out, if we can make saves and get out fast, that's what we're going to do. But we want to make sure we're clearing at above 85% the entire year. That's the goal.
Yeah, and like I said earlier in the episode, that's definitely something that I'll be paying attention to the rest of the way. Excuse me. I know that's something, like I said, that stood out to me in that game against Central Michigan. And I know, real quick, you mentioned being able to win draw controls consistently and be able to give the ball to your offense. I think it definitely helps in that regard to have somebody like Elise Harder, who does win quite a few draws, as she's been known to do in the first few years of her career in a Titans uniform. And I know, looking back on that game last Sunday, she earned, I believe it was 4 in that game alone. So that'll be something worth watching for anybody that tunes in on ESPN Plus to watch that one at noon. Again, I'll have the call there from Titan Field. But that will do it for this episode. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this post, guys. Like I said, you can check out that game Saturday, March 13th at noon on ESPN Plus. You can also check out past episodes of the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, basically anywhere you guys get your podcasts, we are at, so you can find this and any past episodes. But Dwayne, I want to thank you once again for joining me on this show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here, and looking forward to the game on Saturday.
Yep, absolutely. Should be a fun one there from Titan Field, but that'll do it for us, guys. We will see you later.